Right? And I'm not playing no games. Yeah.
Hey, I'm Pops, and I had not done a video on the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. I loved it actually, but probably not for all of the right reasons. It's just Christmassy, and I like Christmassy stuff, and it hits like the sentimental vibe. It really does. But at the end of the day, I want to basically try to give you some honest breakdown of some problems with it and that kind of thing. And touch on it. So the premise is actually kind of fun. There's no real secrets or spoilers. Everything was pretty much spelled out in the promotion. But it's more about the execution of it with like one twist and spoilers. So if you don't want that or you haven't seen it, then feel free. It starts off with this little animation. I thought it was fine. It tells a little backstory of when Peter Quill was a child. He's there with Kraglin. And basically, Yondu is not having it. We're not doing the sappy, crappy, feel good nonsense Christmas stuff. And he kind of tears it down. So that's kind of how it starts. And it cuts to Kraglin, who basically is like, and that's how Yondu ruined Christmas. And he's basically sharing the story with the other Guardians. And they've kind of taken over Nowhere. They're refurbishing it. And that's kind of what's happening here. They're kind of like setting it up for people to live in and those kinds of things. And we get an introduction to Cosmo, who has appeared in a couple of the other Guardians films as a cameo kind of thing. Cosmo has like telekinesis, and there's bickering with Rocket over that. This just working. There's Peter. He's kind of, and he's a little more melancholy. Obviously, you have the situation with Gamora, who she obviously had passed away. And then there's a new Gamora from the past who doesn't know him, who's on the run. And then you have sort of this joke and then an execution of, we just got these instruments and they're experts at them, by the way, which is the joke. And they're going to play this song about Christmas or whatever. And it's kind of fun because it's like a take on Christmas, but everything is wrong. Everything is just off a little bit. So it's played for fun and for laughs. And have a good time as the credits kind of come in. And by the way, there are more aliens and interesting characters and aliens in a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special than entire seasons of content. So for those who think that we're being too hard, Kenobi show or even Boba Fett when there's no aliens, a lot less important for Andor, but even then, there are literally countless aliens. So the twist happens very early in the episode. Again, if you did not want the spoiler, the twist, the twist in the spoiler is that Mantis is Peter's sister, half sister, because they share ego as a dad. Now, okay, the fact that this can be in a comic book or this fits the lore is not the issue, but it is the execution of introducing it now. It's like you've had two full movies, Infinity War and Endgame. You've had opportunities with characters interacting. There's even a quick, scene in the Thor movie, but now we're going to come off that, which is, it's fine. I can see why some people don't care for that element. Again, I'm going along for the ride. And they do play up Mantis. So the entire story is not about the Guardians. It's not even about Peter. The entire story is about Mantis. So is this MCU? It's about her. She does all the cool stuff. She's the one that's going to kick butt. She's the one that's going to save the day. She's the one that's going to do all the fun stuff. Drax is the sidekick in this episode. Now, what works and why this doesn't become the irritating MCU of some of their other products is because Drax is funny, right? They play it up for laughs. So their big idea is to go to Earth and kidnap Kevin Bacon, because the real Kevin Bacon, because Kevin Bacon is someone who has been immortalized by Peter Quill, because when he was a child, he was abducted as a child. Obviously, this is when Kevin Bacon was at the height of his career, and they've equated Kevin Bacon as the hero and an action hero, those kinds of things, a leader on Earth. And so you have this different things. And the reason the MCU works is because Drax plays up the fish out of water rather than being the butt of the joke. So the first element in the screen time is spent with them being in Hollywood, where people take photos with celebrities and people in cosplay. You can see there's a Johnny Depp lookalike as Jack Sparrow. You can see different things in the background. So people just think they're in cosplay, and they make all of this money. They have a ton of cash. They don't know why Newton's is something that's larger than he is in real life, of course. And they go to a bar, and you have a, so we're now like 10, 15 minutes. We're going to be 15 minutes in by the time we're done with the bar scene, where they're just consuming mass amounts of alcohol and drinking to the point where, again, you've seen the shot where they're basically like passed out on a curb. They get a map to go to where Kevin Bacon lives. So it's like 15 minutes in, we really have some setup and then just goofy scene, right? Before you get to Kevin Bacon. And basically it's an invasion of Kevin Bacon's house. And the jokes are played pretty well. Like, maybe you can throw me over the fence. Drax doesn't hear the maybe and just throws her over the fence, right? Right. Toss you over the gate jokes. And then, of course, they don't know what any of the Christmas decorations are. And they basically knock on the door. He's talking about, calling the cops. But Drax loves his little inflatable elf, and she loves this candy cane. They don't even really know what these things are. Anyway, they just burst into the house, and there's like a chase scene. And I have to say this, Kevin Bacon really sells it. He's really trying to play this up with it, sort of like the overacting really does work for all of the shenanigans. He's on the run. And then we get to the police scene. Now, I'm going to credit and blame Anonymous, YouTuber. I will put his link in the description because Anonymous broke the scene for me. I rewatched it, and he's right that we don't do guns anymore. We don't do prop guns. We just pretend now. So you'll notice the guns are not actually working. So this scene is very irritating in the grand scheme of things. When I first watch it, and my take home is still, it's all about Mantis. It's all about her throwing down and kicking butt and doing all of that. You can see she's become like this super martial art combat queen, kicking butt left and right. And Drax just flips the car over. Like, you can't kill people. He's like, well, I didn't know what the rules are. That's actually the only like superhero feat that he does. Anyway, Mantis's powers are also a little bit different. Like, she can just touch and make people do things. It's not just sleep. I don't know. It kind of contradicts some of the things, especially in Infinity War, when her powers mattered when she had Thanos. It's like, well, couldn't she have just said, take the glove off or something like that? So there are some contradictions here. And I am willing to concede that I'm giving this project way too much leeway in the grand scheme of things. The best joke is played up here, where they're asking Kevin Bacon about all these different things. They're talking about him as though he's this hero or whatever, and he's done these things, when in fact they're just roles. And they're like, oh, he's just another crappy actor. They hate her. And that just made me laugh. Be Kevin Bacon. But, so they basically, they say, well, we're going to keep going with our mission, but just pretend to be someone who doesn't stink. So anyway, all of this is fine. And then we get here, and Peter goes out and realizes that an entire area, and it's just amazing. Now, we don't really have frame of reference. They have like a snow machine that they've rigged up, and they've basically given Christmas. And I will say that shot right there is the money shot. This is what works for me and why it's fun. Is it so much of a Christmassy thing? It's a Christmassy thing because it's this experience, especially when you have kids and you take them and they see lights or snow, or and it's because it dropped at Thanksgiving that it's like it's a good transitionary film or project. It's like a TV movie for that time of the year, because it's like the lights are being connected and set up. It's the awe of the transition. It's and he hasn't experienced this for years of his life. I will say I liked it a lot. I got it. Is it Christmassy in the grand scheme of it? Kind of. Anyway, yeah, they kidnapped Kevin Bacon. They have him on. Mantis has him on her mind control. That he's happy to be there and all that kind of stuff. And Peter's like, you just can't kidnap people. which is played fine. But then once she releases him, everybody freaks out. And then it's like, we're going to take Kevin Bacon back to Earth. And then you have the best scene of the whole thing is really when you get down here with Kraglin. Kraglin's going to take him back. Now, notice he has Yondu's fin because he controls the arrow. There's a comment about that, which I think is good. But you get to the heart of the Guardians. You get to the heart of them not always connecting to one another. Like, we don't totally understand Groot. We don't understand why he looks like this or acts like this. We don't totally understand Rocket. But we actually care about one another, and we're trying to do good for one. And whenever this speech ends, you sort of get Kevin Bacon going, oh, I have a purpose. There's a joke about the cell phone tower working so he can get a call from his wife. And then he basically goes back to perform music. And that's what you get here with the song. They're all playing their music and that kind of thing. So this is probably what happened. Kevin Bacon said, I will do all of this as long as I can sing. Notice they like put product in his hair. They like spiffed him up, put him in a Christmas shirt, the whole thing. So, and then there's basically like fun gags where everyone is giving different gifts to one another and things like that. And then of course the sentiment of, I'm actually your sister. It is not the best thing in the world. I don't even know that it ranks among some of the better Christmas things, but it may be one of the best Marvel things that they've done. It's definitely the best Marvel thing. It's definitely with like, Werewolf by Night has similar problems. Like it's an MCU type product. You know exactly how it's going to kind of go in different things in different elements, but it was an entertaining product. I enjoyed it for what it was. And I'm like, well, is that the sweet spot for Marvel? They can do something that's about 35 to 40 minutes. It's a little longer than a TV episode, but it's shorter than a film. And you don't get all of the fluff and the waste and the agenda, and you don't get as much of that. Maybe that's the sweet spot they need to be in, because their Disney Plus movies stink. Their TV shows stink. Their theatrical movies are stinking. Like everything has become a mess in the last 2 years. So is this the best of the MCU? This is the best? Yeah, it kind of is. Is it MCU? Yeah, it kind of is, but it's one of those things where the difference is the degradation of other characters. There's no prop up Mantis as a degradation of Peter, Quill, or Drax or other characters. And that's the problem. So, that's why it works. It's good. That's the positive why it works. So anyway, that's my take on it. Thanks to everyone who reminded me that I hadn't done this. I don't know, just hadn't done it. So I don't have an outtake video, so we'll go to Old Faithful and queue up Bob, and consider liking, sharing, subscribing. Tell me what else you want me to watch, subject myself to. I'm getting a ton of requests. I don't know how I'm going to manage some of it, but I'll do what I can do when I can do it. So thanks for everything. Hope you guys enjoy. Love your thoughts on this show and what you guys think.
All I do is chill. My life is a thrill, for real, Bob Ross. I be too calm for the drama. You don't wanna cause a problem.